Good morning. All right, we are going to delve back into our book, A Lion to Guard Us. We're going to read chapters 16 through 20 today to keep you right on track, and I am very excited to see what happened. So far, we've had storms and exciting things that have happened on their voyage across the ocean, and we think, but we're not sure, maybe the boat has crashed. So let's read ahead and see. Chapter 16, Ashore. Amanda was on her feet. Something strange had happened. The deck no longer shivered and tipped beneath her. She could stand. She could walk. She tried to look over the rail. The wind blew spray into her face. "Get up, Meg," said Jemmy. "We've stopped." John Rolfe and Mistress Rolfe were at the rail. "Now I see," he was saying. "The ship is caught between two rocks." "Then we can't sink," said his wife. "But the ship may break apart," he said. "We must get to shore." People were running across the deck. Sailors were making the small boats ready. Admiral Summers shouted through the horn, "Women and children into the first boat." Amanda and Jemmy and Meg crowded in with others. Men were there to row. The boat swung down over the side. A wave lifted it high and carried it away. Amanda was between Jemmy and Meg. They were on their knees in the bottom of the boat. "I see land," shouted Jemmy. Amanda saw it too. It was like a long shadow through the rain. "There's land," she said, with her mouth close to Meg's ear. Meg didn't answer. She was hiding her face under Amanda's arm. Amanda held her beneath as the boat dipped and rocked from one wave to another. They reached the shallow water near the shore. There the waves were not so high, the roar of the storm not so loud. She began to hear voices of people about her. She heard a woman ask, "Is this Virginia?" A sailor answered, "This is an island. The admiral says it's Bermuda." The woman set up a wail. "Bermuda is where the devils are." Another woman wailed with her, "The devils made the storm and wrecked the ship. They'll never let us land." "Devils or not," said the sailor, "I mean to land this boat." Amanda watched the shore. Now she could see a white strip of land next to the water with green woods beyond. The boat scraped the sand. The men helped the women and children out. Amanda and Jemmy and Meg started up across the beach. It was hard for them to walk on land. They were so used to the ship that kept moving under their feet. Meg had a hold of Amanda's dress. "This is your land," she said. "My land?" said Amanda. "The one you told us about." "That was just a story," said Amanda. "I didn't know that there would be land here." "Yes, you did," said Meg. Chapter 17, The Island. On the island, at least, the storm was over. The small boats had brought everyone ashore. People were resting on the sand. Admiral Summers walked among them. He spoke to them and shook their hands. "We've been through a storm and a shipwreck," he said, "with not a life lost." "What of the other ships?" asked Master Hopkins. "I pray they are safe," said the Admiral. "If they rode out the storm, they may be sailing on to Virginia." Someone had built a fire. People sat about it, drying their clothes. Most of them were ladies and gentlemen. There was no room for Amanda and Jemmy and Meg. They found their own place. They lay down on the side of the sandbank and were soon asleep. They slept the rest of the day and all that night. The morning sun was in their eyes when they woke. Amanda sat up. She still felt tired, and her back ached. People were up and about. Their voices sounded far away. Beside her, Meg was saying, "There's salt in my eyes." Jemmy was on his feet. Amanda heard him say, "The little boats went out to the wreck. See what they brought?" She saw a heap of rope and canvas and boxes and barrels on the shore. I think one of our chests is there," said Jemmy. Amanda hoped so. They needed a change of clothing. The clothes they wore were stiff with salt. A man came by. "Can you clean fish?" he asked. "Yes," she said. She tried to get up and fell over. He set her on her feet. She followed him to the flat rocks near the water. She felt as if she were learning to walk again. There were fresh fish spread out on the rocks. A man came up with another pailful. "The harbor's full of them," he said. He gave Amanda a knife, and she split the fish and cleaned them. Robert Waters came up with a pail in his hand. "If anyone is thirsty," he said, "I found pools of rainwater up there in the rocks. And see what else I found?" He showed them a pail of nearly full eggs. "Almost as big as a hen's egg," he said. "They are from the white birds you see along the shore." "We'll live like kings here," said an old sailor, "if the devils don't get us first." "There are wild pigs in the woods," said Robert Waters, "and they have no fear of me. It's like they never saw a man before." "You saw no devils?" asked the old sailor. Robert Waters shook his head. "Since I was a boy I've heard of the Bermuda devils," said the sailor. "Now I think there are no devils here, and never were. Sailors from Spain found these islands long ago. They wanted Bermuda for themselves, so they told tales to keep everyone else away." Master Waters took the knife from Amanda. "I'll clean fish for a while. Go have some food." The kettle was boiling over the fire. The ship's cook stood with a long spoon in his hand. Amanda and Jemmy and Meg waited in line. Each one was given a wide, thick leaf from a palm tree. Onto each leaf the cook spooned a piece of fish and 2 eggs. They went to the edge of the woods out of the hot sunlight. Amanda helped Jemmy and Meg take the fish off the bones. "This is good," said Jemmy. "Isn't it good, Amanda? Is there more?" "We'll see," she said. Meg rolled up her leaf and made a nest for her 2 eggs. "They're pretty," she said. "Poor little Meggie," said Amanda. "Your dress is all shrunk. It's up to your knees." "So is yours," said Meg. "You look funny." "We all look funny," said Jemmy. But no one laughed. They couldn't laugh yet, thought Amanda. They felt beaten and tired. The sound of the storm was still in their ears. Chapter 18. The Smallest House. Now that they were on land, Sir Thomas Gates was their governor. He set them to work. They moved away from the harbor where the sun beat down on the sand. They built a village among the trees. Some of the houses were tents, others were made of rocks, logs, and branches. The children helped cut the long leaves from palmetto trees and spread them in the sun. When the leaves were dry, they were used to make roofs. Governor Gates told Amanda and Jemmy and Meg, "You are to live with the Hopkins family." Mistress Hopkins said to Amanda, "I have my own children to look after. Why must I look after 3 more?" "You needn't look after us," said Amanda. "I must," said Mistress Hopkins, "as long as the governor says we are to share our house with you." Amanda went to the governor. "If it please you," she said, "my brother and sister and I want to live by ourselves." "You must live with someone else," he said, "until we can build more houses." "We can build our own," she said. "Can you indeed?" "Yes, sir," she said. "Try if you like," he told her. "You'll find it not so easy." They cut branches and carried rocks and began to build their house at the edge of the village under the cedar tree. They put up a wall of sticks and rocks and mud. When it fell over, people laughed, but others came to help. Before many days the house was done. It was the smallest one in the village, but there was room for them to sleep, and there was a place for their sea chest. And you can see a picture, let me get it, of the types of houses that they were building. So you see the rocks are at the bottom. You can see the sticks that they cut and made. And then the roofs, you can kind of see the edges of the leaves that they were drying to make the roofs. I missed something. They were proud of their house. Amanda made a broom of palmetto leaves and she swept the dirt floor every day. Jemmy said, "We're going to stay here, aren't we?" "No, we're going to Virginia," said Amanda. "But some of the men say we're going to stay in Bermuda. They say no one else lives here and we can have all the land we want and plenty to eat." "We're not going to stay here," said Amanda. "The sailors are putting a deck on one of the small boats, and it will sail to Virginia." "How many will that hold?" said Jemmy. "We'll not all be going," Amanda told him. "Only a few will go. Then they'll send a ship back for us." They went down to the bay where the men were at work on the small boat. Master Ravens was there. He was a tall man with great arms and a thick neck. He was to be captain of the boat. Amanda asked him, "How long will it take you to sail to Virginia?" "A week," he said, "maybe 2. "When you see our father, will you tell him we're safe in Bermuda, Jemmy, Meg, and I?" "That I will," he said. "His name's James Freebold." "I know," said Master Ravens. "I'll not forget." The boat sailed in late August. Amanda was there with the others to wave goodbye. The boat looked so small in the great ocean. It looked so very small. Chapter 19. A Fire at Night. On a summer evening, Amanda and Jemmy and Meg sat outside their doorway. Amanda was sewing a shirt for Jemmy. Meg was making a hat of green palmetto leaves. Jemmy was rubbing the door knocker with a cloth. Robert Waters and Chris Carter came by. Barefooted with their long black beards, they looked like wild men. They stopped for a look at the lion's head. "It was in our chest," said Jemmy, "and the salt water made spots on it." "Shall I take them off for you?" said Master Carter. "I can do it," said Jemmy. The 2 men went away, but in a little while Master Waters came back. "Do you like palmetto berries?" "Yes," said Jemmy. "Do you know the place where the men dug the new well? I saw berries in a tree a little farther on." After Master Waters was gone, Jemmy said, "I'm going to go get some berries." "We'll all go," said Amanda. They walked through the woods. Meg was skipping. Amanda asked her, "Where did you learn to skip?" "I don't know," said Meg. "It just happened to me." They went as far as they knew as the new well and a little farther. They found no palmetto berries, but they found something they had never seen before. It was a big, smooth rock with moss on its sides. Jemmy climbed up to the top and jumped off. "I want to jump," said Meg. She climbed the rock. She jumped off and fell into the bushes. Amanda went to her. "Did you hurt yourself?" "No," said Meg. She began to pull at her buttons. "Meg," said Amanda, "what are you doing? I can't jump in all these clothes." Meg was out of her dress. She kicked off her shoes, barefooted, and in her petticoat. She climbed the rock and stood there. "Look at me," she shouted. "I'm a bird." She jumped with her long hair flying. Amanda looked in wonder. Meg was playing. Here on the island, in the clear, bright air, she had learned to play. Jemmy was shouting, "I'm a bird too." He climbed the rock and jumped after her. Again and again they jumped. "Come and jump, Amanda," said Jemmy. "Oh no," she said. It was such a long time since she had played. She was sure she had forgotten how. They walked slowly home, the sun nearly down, when they came to their house. Jemmy looked into the sea chest. "Where's the knocker?" "Where did you put it?" asked Amanda. "Back in the chest." "Are you sure?" "I thought I put it back," he said. He looked in the grass outside the house. Ann Hopkins came down the path. "What are you looking for?" she asked. "My lion's head," he said. "Maybe somebody took it." "Who?" he asked. Ann didn't answer. "Maybe you took it," he said. She pulled her lips in. "Do you think I would ever steal or tell a lie? I mean to go to heaven." September passed and part of October. Every night a fire was lighted at the north tip of the island. It was to guide the ship that would come from Virginia. But when November came, Admiral Summers said, "We need not light the fire any longer. I fear the boat never reached Virginia. If it had, a ship would have come by now." Chapter 20. A Quarrel. Winter on the island was like no winter Amanda had ever known before. The days were fair, warm winds blew from the sea. In the North Harbor, men were building a ship. Part of it was made of wood from the wrecked Sea Adventure. Part of it was made of cedar that had been cut on the island. Almost every evening, Amanda and Jemmy and Meg took a walk down on the North Harbor to see the ship that was being built. "It looks like a fish with bones picked clean," said Jemmy. There was a long wooden wheel with the wooden ribs fastened to it. It did look like the bones of a fish, thought Amanda. Before the ship was finished, Admiral Summers said, "We must build another one." "Why?" asked the men. "This ship will not hold all our people and the things we want to take," said the Admiral. "And there's another reason. If one ship should be lost, the other still might reach Virginia." Some of the men were angry. "We have worked hard," they said, "and now more work is put on our shoulders." A cloud seemed to fall over the island. Men began to meet in small groups. They talked together. Their voices were low and secret. A quarrel broke out on the North Harbor. Amanda and Jemmy and Meg met Mistress Hopkins outside her house. Mistress Hopkins talked to them about what had happened. Some of the men said they were tired of building ships. Why should they go to Virginia, they said, when they have a good life here? "We must go to Virginia," said Admiral Summers. "The people there need to help, and we were sent to help them." "Go if you will," said Robert Waters. "Some of us mean to stay." He and 7 others stopped work. They went to live on the other side of the island. "It doesn't surprise me," said Mistress Hopkins. "Robert Waters was always one to make trouble." Ann Hopkins was in the doorway. "Is Master Waters gone?" she asked. "Yes," said his mother. "And he isn't coming back?" "So he says," says Mistress Hopkins. "Then I can tell," said Anne. "I was afraid of him before, but now I can tell." "Tell what?" asked her mother. "He took the lion's head." "How do you know?" asked Amanda. "I saw him go into your house while you were gone," said Anne, "and you never saw the lion's head after that." "Master Waters was good to us," said Amanda. He helped build our house. I don't believe he would take our door knocker." "You don't have to believe," said Anne, "but I know what I saw." Amanda and Jemmy and Meg went home. "Do you think Master Waters took the door knocker?" asked Amanda. "He used to say someone might steal it," said Jemmy. "He used to say he wanted to keep it for me." "Do you think he has it now?" asked Amanda. "I don't know," said Jemmy. All right, that ends our reading for today. We will start again next week.